it's really important to consolidate your operations sometimes. You got to be able to simplify if you're going to be able to adapt when times get rough. The truth of the matter is, we wind up getting a lot of baggage. We get a lot of things that capture our attention. We get a lot of things that take up space in our minds, in our lives, in our homes. You could be talking about the farthest extent of the Roman Empire or the British Empire. You could be talking about your video game playing routine. You could be talking about how much stuff you have in your pantry cupboard that you never use. There's a lot of different ways this conversation could apply. But the truth is, when you simplify your life, and you put more effort into a few things instead of trying to dabble in everything, you wind up being better off for it. Sometimes we just get too spread out. You could try to play a whole bunch of different MMOs or other games, and maybe you get burned out from it because you only have so much mental headspace to devote to gaming. It's not immersive or a fun escape if you're going to jump into one title and then before you can even really immerse yourself in it, you're jumping into something else. And it's the same thing in life. If you simplify your life to where you have very few responsibilities, you have very few commitments, you have very few things, then you're able to commit more wholly to that which remains. And then you might find out that you're having a better time too. Because then you actually get to see the fullness of what the place you're in has to offer. And it can be hard to give things up because we always feel like we're going to miss out, I guess. You know? You have a whole pile of pans in your cupboard. You don't want to get rid of any of them because you think, well, I might use it one day. But I haven't used it for the last year, so am I really? And we have all this stuff that just, it takes up emotional space in our lives. Sometimes we're better off just letting some of it go. It's really nice when you just have very few things you need to worry about. It's like if you had a pet in your house and then you didn't have a pet. Like, I can speak to this. There's a lot of things you have to do often when you have a dog and a cat living in your house. When you don't have a dog and a cat living in your house, then suddenly cleaning your house becomes a lot easier because you're not going to harvest an entire vacuum cleaner full of hair twice a week. So if you're content to not live with pets, then it's that much easier. You don't have to clean a litter box every day. You don't have to sweep up the cat litter granules off the bathroom floor twice a day. There's so many things that are like that. And we say, well, our life is complicated. We got so much to figure out, so much to do. We got to figure out what we're going to say about the next new thing coming out, new game coming out, new car model coming out. There's always something, right? But you let go of some of this stuff and you say, you know what? I'm going to just live a simple life. I'm not going to have a whole army of friends and acquaintances and people who are right there in my phone. So every day when I have time off, somebody's going to want to hang out or we're going to want to do something or something. No, just if they're not serving a purpose, I don't have them there. And my job is just super simple experience. I go to work and I do the best job I can with the time I've allotted for my usual vocation. And then I move on, I do something else. And I don't give that any emotional space in my mind that's disproportionate. I don't worry about tomorrow. I don't worry about the past. Just mind my business, do my simple life, and take it a day at a time. The more you give up in life, the happier you probably will be. And yet it's also true that you should give up things that don't add value to your life. As an example, I was thinking about New World. I kind of missed that game and I was playing it over the last week a little bit. And I thought, I might switch to New World because I kind of been playing Elder Scrolls Online. I thought, well, maybe I'll switch over to New World and try that. Because I have it. Doesn't really cost anything. It's a pretty good game in some ways. And then I thought, I'm not enjoying this experience. I like the other game better. So I'm not playing New World right now. Not because it's a bad game, just because it doesn't quite check that box the way Elder Scrolls does. So, there's that. I'm not saying that you give up things that bring joy into your life. I'm just saying you give up extra things. If you find one thing that brings joy into your life, you don't need to be out there looking for more stuff too. Because sometimes more isn't better. Sometimes more just overwhelms. I really don't need to play more than one MMO. Because I already found an MMO that I think is pretty cool. Is it perfect? No. But it's cool. I do like it. That's all there is to it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a cool experience. I don't need to have more than one, because more than one would be more of a distraction than an asset. But sometimes it's hard to give up that desire to always dabble in something new. For me, I think the more I give up and I just have a couple simple things that I stick to, my life winds up being so much happier. Because then I focus on being present in those things instead of continually trying to juggle in my mind, what am I going to do next? That worry of, am I getting to everything I need to get done? there is a lot of time in our lives for a lot of different things. But we don't have time in our life to do everything. So sometimes it's good to just take a step back and really soul search and ask yourself, what do I miss? If I really miss something, then I'm going to seek that out. But if I don't really miss it, then it's okay to let something go. It's okay to bookshelf something. I've played a lot of Genshin Impact before, but that's a very grindy game. And it's kind of like an MMO, only it's not an MMO. It's a single player RPG with gambling mechanics and a gacha system. That's what it is. It's a very cool game for those who make it their main and only RPG. And I am a fan of that game. And I may well play it again someday. But you know what? I'm not playing it right now. Because right now I got plenty to do in Elder Scrolls Online. And the truth of the matter is, Genshin Impact is a game that I really like the idea of, but where the rubber meets the road, I usually kind of don't actually feel like playing it. So, just being honest with myself, that's the truth. So I thought, well, maybe I'll uninstall Genshin for a while. Free up some hard drive space because I'm already getting everything I felt like I needed to get out of another game that I truthfully enjoy more. But sometimes we gotta be honest with ourselves, and we gotta be able to take stock of where we're at and figure out, you know, what really adds value to my life and what's just something where I'm kind of, I guess, feeling obligated to do this. It's like if you went to work and then you stayed late all the time, but you're not really accomplishing anything, right? You're just staying late because you kind of wanted the boss to feel like you were working just as hard as he was, or I don't know. You wanted to show some sort of loyalty, so you hung around, you stayed a little late. But are you getting anything done? Is it anything you couldn't do tomorrow? You know, like these are the things where if you're really honest, well, no. Set some boundaries in your life. Simplify it a little bit. Don't bear on your shoulders the emotional baggage of somebody else's issues, somebody else's concerns. It's just so easy to kind of deceive ourselves, I think. And bearing the burdens of things that don't even need to be thought of. Like what game is the best game for me to be playing, or what are people going to think of me if I don't do some social thing they wanted me to do? Or what are people going to think if my lifestyle is different than my neighbor's? We always look through the lens of what do other people think? Not just to honestly say what bears good fruit in my life, and then I'm just going to take what I need and leave the rest. If all we do is take what we need in life and we don't worry about taking more than what we truly, genuinely desire, then usually I think we have plenty of abundance. Maybe there's some people who don't. You know, there's a lot of different situations that people have to go through in the world. But for those of us who are sitting around playing video games and watching YouTube videos, we're probably pretty blessed. And if anything, our problem is we struggle to cope with opulence, really. Because we have so much. We get overwhelmed. Like a kid in the candy shop. You know, I remember when I was a kid, getting some candy was a treat. And when you're a child, normally your options are somewhat limited, right? So I had these amazing memories of, you know, some red vines or some gummy bears or whatever they might be. It was special because it was rare. Now, as an adult, you go down the candy aisle and you got yourself hundreds of different options there to choose from. No longer feels special because now you're overloaded with all these abundances of choice. Sometimes that's what makes our lives feel like they're not as good now as what they used to be, maybe. Because in the past, sometimes we didn't have so much choice. So we really had to make the most out of what we had. But now, we're always distracted. We're always moving from one thing to the next thing. And so we don't get that extra boon that comes from just sticking with something. You know, I've thought I'd like to write a book, and I've thought maybe the best thing that could happen to me and get me to write that book would be if I was put in prison. Because I was put in prison and all I had was a pen and a paper and a cell. Then, you know what? I'd write that book, right? Because I wouldn't have all these other things to think about. All these other things to do. It'd just be a few simple things that I would have. Me and my thoughts and a pen and paper, right? And get to work. Sometimes we gotta self-limit ourselves a little bit. We gotta, not saying that we need to lock ourselves up in prison, but sometimes we just gotta simplify our lives so that we have enough room, space to think and to know ourselves. Till next time, thank you for watching.